Hi everybody, this is exciting. This is my first video slash vlog that I've done, and I've been wanting to do this for some time now. So this has been overdue. What better time than during a pandemic? I, for one, have more time on my hands than I've ever had. So hopefully I will be making more of these videos just to keep things interesting, and because I can always ramble about stuff. Though, for your information, as a sexologist, most of the content that I would post would be about sexuality and sexual health, and most probably about teenagers also, because they're the clientele that I want to work with, so those are my interests. But for this first video though, I did want to keep things light, not too heavy, so I decided to do a book review for you guys. Because Kat loves books and has also too much time to read right now. The book today will be Girls and Sex, Navigating the Complicated New Landscape. So it's by Peggy Orenstein. This is actually a fantastic book, honestly. Peggy is a journalist, and she mostly works with teenage girls and young women, has had a long career in that. She discusses sexuality with them, among other topics. In this book, she interviews many different teenage girls and young adult women about a variety of topics. She visits multiple states and interviews girls from so many different areas. So it's actually a very impressive essay. She even includes surveys and studies to illustrate her points sometimes, which makes it a very strong essay as well. She also does compare boys and girls sometimes in terms of perceptions on various subjects, so it is fun to see the contrast. It's very interesting. It's worth mentioning, though, a trigger warning. This book does discuss rape a lot, because as it turns out, sexual violence does surface pretty early on in teenage girls' lives. So if that is a particularly heavy subject for you, then if you do still want to read it, I am glad that you at least know what to prepare yourself for, because it can get heavy in that sense. But other than that, she does discuss other concepts such as consent, rape myths, virginity, gender, sexting, online relationships, hookup culture, drinking and partying culture, and the atmosphere on college campuses. So it's very nice. She discusses laws and politics surrounding sexuality as well. So it's a fantastic book, really. She did a really good job on this book. I do definitely recommend it for parents who have teenagers or soon-to-be teenagers, or even younger children. If you want to start building on certain skills that you know that they'll need during this time, it's good to have a head start. Other than that, teachers or any kind of educators as well could really benefit from the book, or really anyone who just wants kind of a glimpse into women's perceptions on social issues and their experiences. This is very useful and informative. I particularly, though, urge parents to read it, though, because the book does highlight studies that show that teenagers wish their parents had prepared them more for that inevitable part in their lives. They wish they had that open relationship with their parents so they could ask questions, discuss experiences, get an open and honest guidance from them. So, puberty is already such a mess of a time. Their bodies are changing. They're dealing with new hormone levels. They don't have a strong sense of self yet. They're still figuring that out to help them process everything that's going on. So teenagers definitely do seem to desire and would definitely benefit from a stronger support system from the adults in their lives. And also educators, though, because Peggy does discuss these things with other educators and professionals as well, who go into schools and give sexual education to teens and do various activities with them. So you actually get to see some of the tools that they use and things that work and don't work. So that's actually very nice. you'll get a lot of tools. In fact, I'll share one of my favorite parts in the book with you so that you get an idea of the content of the book. At some point, there's an educator who's in a classroom full of teenagers and is discussing consent with them. Peggy sat on it and took notes. So she begins by saying that a lot of people don't recognize that you can be sexual with someone in a lot of different ways. Most of our ideas about sex is always on getting from point A to point B. So foreplay is to prepare for intercourse. And we use metaphors like baseball, where the point is to round the bases and get a home run and score. That's a lot of the discussion that teenagers use particularly. There's not this idea in that metaphor that you can, for example, hit the ball, make it to second base, and just be like, oh, you know what? There's a nice breeze here. It's actually a nice scenery. It's kind of relaxed. I don't really feel like going on. I don't want to run anymore. I'm going to just chill. I'm going to just chill here. Because in baseball, you would obviously lose the game. So the point is always to get that home run. And there's a lot of focus on that. So in the classroom, it was nice that this kid in the classroom raised his hand and was like, I never thought about it. But in the baseball metaphor, you're trying to score against somebody. And the educator was like, yeah, in baseball, there's a winner and there's a loser because it's a competition. So when you think about it that way, like how much is that metaphor serving our kids? And adults use it too. And is that really the idea that we want to have about sex? So in a different part of the book, another educator actually compared sex to eating a pizza. And that works a lot better because in both situations, you start with internal desire. So you want it, there's a hunger, there's an appetite, you both really want that. So you may decide for many reasons that it's not the night to indulge though. Maybe it's like, okay, no, let's have a light dinner tonight. I feel kind of blah. Or maybe we want to save some money and we'll celebrate over the weekend and have a pizza then. Or maybe you decide that, no, we want that pizza tonight. The pizza's, let's order. When you decide that, usually there's a discussion. It's like, okay, what are we going to have on the pizza? Maybe you want pepperoni on your pizza and your dining companion does not. So maybe you decide to go halvesies, or you agree that one person will get to choose today and another person will get to choose the next time. Or maybe you decide to choose different toppings altogether. But the point is that you both try to make sure that everyone involved is happy with the decision at the end. So that's a much better approach. It's not about winning or losing, and it's not about scoring against somebody or anything like that. It's about mutual enjoyment, and that's definitely a healthier approach that we should encourage among our teens or anybody in their sex lives. But particularly teens, because remember that that's the time in their lives that they're building the foundation of their sexuality. They're starting to build their ideas around it. They're getting their first experiences in. They're building their habits about it. So it's really important that they start on a healthy first step. And that's the main message in the book, really. Peggy tries to convey that we should be promoting blissful, enthusiastic, and a shared sexuality for teenagers, rather than one of guilt, regret, shame, and selfishness. Because without the proper guidance, teenagers are making decisions right now that they're unhappy about, that they regret, and that don't bring them happiness, which can create anxieties around sex, like performance anxiety, body image issues, risky sexual behaviors, sexual violence. And if no one's intervening, they'll carry that into adulthood if no one's there to help them figure things out. And then we've just got a mess of a population. And that's not good for anybody. So when you discuss this with teens, even boys will be like, oh my God, you're talking about that, and I think I did that. You know, I think I manipulated a girl into sex, or I really pressured them, and I was really out for scoring, and I thought that that was what it was. And then they feel really bad, and then they regret. So even on that side, there's discomfort and confusion. And then we're there demonizing boys for just wanting to score and not caring about their partner enough. And then we demonize girls for falling for the game and giving it up, when really all of that could be avoided if they were taught better sex education, and if they had guidance from adults. You know, so again, I really encourage parents and educators to step in. If you have that privilege, it's such an honor to be able to guide younger generations into a better path. So I definitely encourage this. And lastly, the last thing that's very good about this book is that it comes with a counterpart called Boys and Sex: Young Men on Hookups, Love, Porn, Consent, and Navigating the New Masculinity. So both together make like a really comprehensive, very nice and complete essay, and I'm just so excited. I was actually on the waiting list for this one. I had prepaid. It came out this January 2020, so it's very new. This one came out in 2016, so they're both still very recent. I'm very excited for this one, so I'll probably be doing a review on this one. But again, these are fantastic tools for educators and parents and anyone who's really curious about how things are going right now in terms of sex lives for the young and the older, because similar habits, you know, they learn from somebody. So anyways, thank you for listening. I hope that some of you will buy these books, because again, very great books. So, but thank you for listening, and stay safe.